Hi there, it's Jewel here. Hope you are having a great day and a great week. I wanted to come today to share a little bit about some of what I've been seeing on the market in terms of virtual staging. And I want to share from my perspective what some of the benefits are of actual staging, of using real staging. And some of these things I say may seem obvious and some may not. But I want to arm you with these different points so that when you are having conversations with sellers about virtual staging versus real staging, you can have this information on hand. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that a number of properties on the market have been using virtual staging. And I know that in some cases it's because of budget, right? And so the client does not have the budget to invest in full staging. But for those clients who actually do have the budget for full staging, but they are weighing whether they should do virtual or full staging, this is for them. So the first thing that I note is that many buyers need to be able to see the scale of a space. And so while virtual staging may look one way online, when you come into the property, if there is no furniture, it's very difficult for the buyer to really see the full potential of the space, and more importantly, to get a sense of scale and how their things will fit in the space, right? And so buyers are not investing in properties that they don't feel that they can actually fit their things, right? Or you have to look at it from the perspective of you're selling space. Right? And so the more perceived space that the buyer can see, the more value that they see. People often think that a vacant property appears to be bigger than a property with furniture. Well, in actuality, it's the exact opposite for just what I said, for the purposes of scale. If you don't have furniture in it, you don't have a sense of scale. And if you don't have a sense of scale, then you don't really see the full potential of the space and how large the space might actually be, or how much space there actually is. So that's one of the first reasons that real staging, actual furniture, is more beneficial than virtual staging. That's something that virtual staging just cannot provide to a buyer, right? To give them a sense of scale. And typically you'll see virtual staging, they'll put in furniture that in real life could not actually work in the space. So that's one point to know about virtual staging versus actual home staging. The second point that I want to point out is that when a seller does virtual staging versus real staging, they're also counting on 1 out of 10 people. And what 1 out of 10 people is what statistics say about the number of people that actually have vision. And so what happens is 9 out of 10 people walk into that home that has no furniture, or worse, completely wrong furniture for the space, and they cannot envision what that space really could be and what it should be. That's 9 out of 10 people. And so when a seller opts for virtual staging, they're hoping for that one needle in the haystack, essentially, right? And so the benefit of real staging is that it creates the vision for the 9 out of 10 people who do not have vision. It makes it easy for them to see how they would use the space, how they might live in the space, what can actually fit in the space. And so that's one of the real values of real staging versus using virtual staging, okay? And then the last piece of it is that when you do virtual staging and the buyer arrives at the property, even though oftentimes the description will say virtually staged, people don't always see that. And what happens is it gives the buyer a feeling of kind of a bait and switch. And it's just not the most positive experience, right? People are shopping for their home, whether it's their first home, a second, third, or fourth home. It's an experience they're looking forward to, and they want to have a positive experience. And so they're excited to see the property. And so when they see it look one way online with these virtual pictures versus how it looks in person, it could be very deflating and disappointing. And that's not how you're going to get the highest profit from a sale, right? That's not how you're going to get the best offers. And so the best experience for a buyer is to see and experience real staging. And I tell sellers, even if you scale back, even if you don't want to invest beyond a certain budget, you still want to do something so that the buyer is having a positive experience from beginning to end. From the time they walk in the door to the time they leave, you want them to have a positive experience. And that's what real staging can do. So for those sellers who have the budget for it, there's no comparison to the value that real staging can provide versus virtual staging, right? The buyer cannot sit down at a virtual dining table and write the offer right on the spot, but they can do that at the real staged table. And so that's what I want you to keep in mind when you're talking to sellers about whether they should be considering virtual or real staging, and they're just looking at it oftentimes just from the monetary standpoint. There are a lot of other things that come into play that they need to consider that add value for them. And at the end of the day, a staged property will always have a higher perceived value than a property that has not been prepared. And that's what you want to communicate to the sellers. So I hope that this was helpful. The next time you have a conversation with the seller about virtual staging versus real staging and why they should consider it, keep these points in mind. Scale, also the buyer experience, and also most buyers don't have vision. Okay, you want to keep all those things in mind. So I hope this is helpful. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And if you're interested in getting us in the door to help your sellers to provide a staging consultation, we'd be happy to schedule a time to do that. Or if the apartment is already empty, we'd be happy to schedule a complimentary visit to prepare a proposal for you. But let's work together to help you get more properties sold faster and for more money in 2023. Have a great day.